The accident, it was a dark night. The road was empty, only trees standing like silent guards on both sides. A cold wind blew across the highway, carrying dust and dry leaves. The moonlight was weak, hiding behind clouds. Only the sound of a pickup truck broke the silence. Inside the truck, a man sat behind the wheel. His music was loud, the beat shaking the glass windows. He was driving too fast, not caring about the turns, not caring about the night. The headlights cut through the darkness, two sharp beams searching the road ahead. Then it happened. Something stepped onto the road. At first it looked like a person. Tall, slim, with long hair falling across her shoulders. She moved slowly, almost weakly, like she was lost. The man's eyes widened. He pressed the brakes too late. The truck hit her. There was a loud thud followed by the sharp sound of glass cracking. Her body flew to the side, crashing against the ground. The truck shook, the wheels screamed, but the driver did not stop. His hands trembled on the steering wheel, his breath came fast. He looked into the mirror once, just once, and saw her lying on the road. For a second, guilt touched him. But fear was stronger. He pressed the pedal harder and disappeared into the night, leaving behind nothing but the echo of his engine. The road became quiet again. Only the woman's body remained, lying half on the road, half on the gravel. But she was not an ordinary woman. Her skin shimmered faintly, as if silver light lived beneath it. Her hair spread out like threads of gold, shining even in the weak moonlight. When she opened her eyes, they glowed softly like twin stars. She coughed, gasped for breath, and a strange liquid touched her lips. It was blood, but it was not red. It was blue, glowing faintly in the dark. She tried to move. Her body hurt, her bones felt broken, but she pushed herself with trembling arms. She whispered something in a language no human would understand. Her voice was weak, carried by the wind, vanishing into the trees. The night seemed to listen. Her vision blurred, but she saw the sky above. Strange lights flickered for a moment far away like sparks dancing among the stars. She knew what it meant. They were close. They were hunting her. The woman pressed her hand to her wound. A soft glow spread from her palm, trying to heal herself. But the damage was too much and her strength was fading. She groaned, collapsing back onto the cold road. Silence again. For a while it looked like she would die there, a forgotten figure on an empty road, left behind by a world that did not know her. The night was cruel, the earth uncaring. Her breaths grew slower, her heartbeat weaker. Then, a sound. Far away, the hum of another engine rose. Headlights cut through the trees, growing brighter with every second. Another vehicle was coming. Her glowing eyes blinked weakly. She wanted to crawl away to hide, but her body refused. Her strength was gone. All she could do was wait. The pickup truck had left her behind. But fate was not finished with her yet. The second vehicle approached, its tires crunching against the road. The driver inside was not reckless. His eyes were alert, his hands steady. He did not speed, he did not play music. He was just a man returning home after a long day, and soon his headlights found her. His eyes widened. A woman lying on the road, broken, bleeding. He pressed the brakes hard, the tires screeched, and the car stopped just a few feet away from her body. His heart pounded. God, what happened here? He whispered to himself. He opened the door quickly and ran toward her. At first he thought it was a normal accident, a human victim left behind. But when he knelt beside her, he froze. His eyes caught the glow beneath her skin. He saw the blue blood shining on her lips. For a moment he could not breathe. She looked at him with glowing eyes, half open, half closed. She whispered something strange, a word he could not understand. Then her head dropped, and she lay still. The man felt fear crawl inside him. But another feeling was stronger, pity. He could not leave her. He looked around. The night was silent. No cars, no people, no help. Just him and this strange woman lying broken on the cold ground. He touched her wrist, searching for a pulse. Faint. Still alive. He had two choices. He could walk away like the other driver, or he could help her. He swallowed hard, his mind racing. Somewhere in the shadows, the wind whispered again. Somewhere above, the faint lights in the sky flickered once more. The accident was only the beginning. The discovery. The man's name was Daniel. He was 30 years old, a quiet man who lived alone on the edge of town. He worked long hours at a small repair shop, fixing cars, fixing machines, fixing anything that people brought him. Tonight he was tired, and all he wanted was his bed. But fate had other plans. When he stopped his car and saw her lying on the road, his life changed. Daniel bent down again, shining his flashlight over her. Her skin glowed faintly as if light lived under it. Her hair sparkled like golden threads, and her blood was blue, glowing softly in the dark. His heart pounded. He had seen many accidents, but never this. For a moment, he thought he was dreaming. Maybe his tired mind was playing tricks. But no, the woman was real. Her breathing was weak, her lips whispered words he could not understand. Are you human? He whispered, knowing how foolish the question sounded. Her eyes opened slowly. They glowed, soft and gentle, but also full of pain. She looked at him as if searching for something. A name? A promise? Or maybe hope? Daniel felt fear pressing inside his chest. He had seen enough science fiction movies to know what this looked like. But he was not the kind of man to walk away from someone who needed help. He pressed his hand against her wound, though he had no idea what he was doing. You're hurt. Don't talk. I'll help you, he said softly. She coughed, blue blood staining her lips, and whispered one word. Broken, weak, but clear. Help. That single word cut through him. Daniel acted quickly. He ran back to his car, pulled out an old blanket, and returned to her. He wrapped it around her trembling body and carefully lifted her in his arms. She was light, far lighter than she looked, as if her bones were hollow or her body was made for a different world. When he carried her to the truck, he felt her fingers twitch, weakly gripping his arm. He looked down and saw her glowing eyes watching him. Don't worry, I won't leave you, Daniel said, his voice steady though his heart raced. He placed her gently in the passenger seat, then started the engine. As the truck rolled forward, he glanced at her again. Her head rested against the window, her breathing shallow. She looked fragile, but there was something strong beneath the pain, something unearthly. The road stretched ahead, dark and empty. Daniel gripped the wheel, trying to stay calm. His mind filled with questions. Who was she? Where had she come from? Why was she here? But one question screamed louder than the rest. Who had hit her and left her to die? He drove faster, the headlights cutting through the night. But his thoughts were broken when he saw her hand glowing faintly again. She pressed it against her wound and light spread across her skin. The cut began to close, slowly but surely. Daniel's eyes widened. He almost swerved. What the hell? He whispered. But she wasn't healing completely. The light flickered, weak and unstable, and she groaned in pain. Save me, she whispered again, her voice trembling. Daniel swallowed hard. He didn't know what danger he was bringing into his life, but he knew one thing. He couldn't abandon her. Minutes later, he pulled into his small farmhouse at the edge of town. It was quiet there, surrounded by fields and trees with no neighbors close by. A safe place, or at least safer than the road. He carried her inside, laying her gently on his old couch. The room was dim, lit only by a single lamp. Daniel grabbed his first aid kit, though he doubted it would help much. Still, he cleaned the wound, wrapped it in bandages, and hoped it would hold. She opened her eyes again, staring at him. For the first time, he saw something like trust in them. My name, Elira, she whispered slowly, her accent strange, each word heavy as if it took effort to shape human sounds. Daniel froze. A name. She had given him her name. Elira, he repeated softly. I'm Daniel. Her lips curved into the faintest smile, though pain still filled her eyes. She pointed weakly toward the window, toward the sky. Come, she whispered, her voice breaking. Daniel looked at her, confusion filling him. Who's coming? But she could not answer. Her strength was fading again. She collapsed back against the couch, her eyes fluttering shut. Daniel sat there, his hands shaking. He stared at her glowing skin, her blue blood, her strange words. He felt as if he had stepped into a story that did not belong to him. Outside, the night was still, but far away in the distance, something flickered in the sky, small lights moving together like silent hunters. Daniel did not see them yet. He only knew one thing: he had saved her life tonight. And now, whatever she had brought with her, he was part of it. The accident was behind him. But the discovery had only begun. The healing. The farmhouse was quiet except for the sound of Daniel moving back and forth. He brought a bowl of warm water, torn cloth, and the small first aid kit he always kept in the kitchen. His hands shook, but his mind stayed focused. Elira lay on the couch, her skin glowing faintly in the dim light. Her breathing was uneven, her chest rising and falling like a weak flame about to fade. Daniel knelt beside her and slowly unwrapped the blanket, revealing her wound again. The bandage he had tied in the truck was soaked through. The glow of her blood shone softly beneath it, like a hidden light. Daniel frowned. He had never seen anything like this in his life. Still, he dipped the cloth in warm water and cleaned the wound carefully. The blue liquid shimmered against the fabric, leaving faint glowing stains. "This isn't real," he whispered to himself, but he knew it was. Every detail was too sharp, too alive. As he worked, her eyes opened again. The glow was dim but steady. She watched him, her face calm though her body trembled. "You, help," she said slowly, each word heavy. Daniel nodded. "I'm trying, but I don't know how to fix this." Her hand twitched, reaching toward the wound. She pressed her palm against it, and at once a soft light spread across her skin. Daniel froze, watching as the glow moved like water flowing into the cut. The torn flesh began to close, slowly knitting itself together. But after only a few seconds, the light flickered and died. Elira groaned, her body shaking. Daniel grabbed her wrist gently. "Stop, you're hurting yourself." She shook her head weakly. "No, heal. Must heal." Daniel sighed, unsure of what to do. "You don't have to do it alone. Let me help." Her glowing eyes studied him. Then slowly, she took his hand and pressed it against her wound. At once, Daniel felt warmth spread through his skin, like fire without pain. The glow returned, brighter this time, flowing through her body. His heart pounded. He wanted to pull away, but something told him not to. He held still, letting the strange energy flow between them. The wound began to close again, faster now. The glow from her blood dimmed as the skin sealed itself. Finally, she let go of his hand and dropped back against the couch. Her chest rose and fell quickly, but the bleeding had stopped. Her breathing was stronger. Daniel pulled back, staring at his own hand. His skin glowed faintly for a second, then returned to normal. He swallowed hard, his mind spinning. "What are you?" he whispered. Elira's lips curved into a faint smile. "Not human," she said softly. "I guessed that much," Daniel muttered. He leaned back, running his hand through his hair. "But why are you here? Why were you on that road?" Her eyes fluttered closed, as if she was too tired to speak. But after a moment she forced out words. "Escape," she whispered. "They hunt me." Daniel frowned. "Who hunts you?" Her eyes opened again, glowing faintly. She looked toward the window, toward the night sky. "My kind." Daniel felt a chill run down his spine. "Your kind? You mean aliens?" She nodded once, weak but certain. Daniel sat in silence. He had always thought aliens were just stories, just fiction. Yet here she was, bleeding on his couch, healing herself with glowing light, speaking broken English. He couldn't deny it. She was real. Elira shifted, sitting up slowly with his help. She looked around the small farmhouse, her eyes calm but searching. Her gaze landed on a photo sitting on a shelf, Daniel as a boy standing with his parents in front of the same house. "Family?" she asked, her voice fragile. Daniel's face darkened. "They're gone. A long time ago." Her eyes softened. She reached out and touched his hand lightly. The warmth of her skin calmed him, as if she shared more than touch, an emotion, a feeling of comfort. Daniel cleared his throat. "You should rest. I'll figure out what to do in the morning." But Elira shook her head. "No morning, they come. Soon." Daniel frowned. "Who? The ones hunting you?" She nodded again. Her glowing eyes met his. "If they find me." "They find you?" Daniel stood, pacing the room. "So what, I should just leave you? Throw you outside?" Elira looked at him, her gaze steady despite her weakness. "You already chose. You helped me." Daniel stopped. She was right. He had chosen. He had lifted her from the road, brought her here, cleaned her wounds. He was part of this now, whether he wanted to be or not. He rubbed his forehead. "All right. Then tell me what to do. How do we keep you safe?" Elira leaned back against the couch, her eyes closing again. "Hide, heal, then." "I tell you." Her voice faded, and soon she was asleep, her breathing steady now. Daniel watched her for a long time, unsure if she was friend or danger. Outside, the wind blew against the windows. In the distance, faint lights flickered in the sky again, moving slowly but surely. The hunters were closer. Daniel did not see them yet. But soon he would, the hunters. The night passed slowly. Daniel sat in an old wooden chair beside the couch, watching the strange woman sleep. Elira's glow had faded to a soft shimmer, but her breathing was calm now. She looked peaceful, almost human, if he ignored the silver light under her skin and the faint blue veins glowing near her temples. Daniel should have been resting too, but his mind refused. Questions kept circling. Why was she here? Who were the ones hunting her? What did she mean when she said, "If they find me, they find you"? He stared at his hand, remembering the warmth he had felt when she pressed it to her wound. The glow had entered him for a brief moment, and even now he felt something different inside. Not pain, not sickness, but something new, like hidden energy humming beneath his skin. He shook his head and stood up, needing air. He stepped outside, the night air sharp and cool against his face. The fields around his farmhouse stretched far, quiet under the moonlight. Crickets sang. An owl called. Everything looked normal. But Daniel knew it wasn't, because in the distance above the tree line, faint lights flickered again. They weren't stars. They moved too fast, too perfect, gliding across the sky without sound. Daniel's stomach tightened. He whispered. She was telling the truth. The lights hovered for a moment, then vanished behind the clouds. Daniel stood frozen, his fists clenched. He didn't know what those things were, ships, drones, or something worse, but he knew one thing. They were searching. He went back inside, locking the door behind him. Elira stirred, her glowing eyes opening. "They are close," she said softly, her voice weak but certain. Daniel frowned. "How do you know?" She placed a hand over her chest. "I feel them. We share the same thread." Daniel didn't understand, but he didn't argue. Instead, he pulled the curtain shut and turned off the lamp. The farmhouse fell into shadow. "Listen," he said firmly. "You need to tell me more. Who exactly is after you?" Elira sat up slowly, her face pale but her eyes steady. She spoke in broken English, searching for the right words. "My people, not same. Some want power. Some want peace. I ain't no secret. Secret can end war. That is why they hunt me." Daniel's chest tightened. "So you're not just a random traveler who fell here. You're important," she nodded. "Too important." "They will not stop." Daniel rubbed his forehead. He felt trapped. His quiet life had vanished in one night. Now he was sitting in a dark house with a glowing alien who carried secrets that others wanted badly enough to chase her across the sky. "Why come here?" he asked finally. "Earth isn't safe. We're not ready for this." Elira looked at him with tired eyes. "I had no choice. Ship broken. Crash far from here. I walk, then truck." Daniel remembered the first truck, the one that hit her and left her to die. He clenched his jaw. Whoever that driver was, they had no idea what they had struck. Elira touched his hand lightly, her voice softer now. "You eat different. You stop, you help, why?" Daniel looked at her glowing fingers resting against his skin. He thought of his parents, of how his father once told him, "If you see someone in need, you don't turn away." That's what makes us human. He swallowed hard. "Because leaving you there would have been wrong." Elira studied him for a moment, then nodded. "Then maybe. Not all humans weak." Before Daniel could answer, a sudden noise broke the silence. A low hum. It grew louder, vibrating through the walls. Daniel's heart raced. He rushed to the window and pulled the curtain back slightly. His eyes widened. Outside, strange vehicles rolled down the dirt road, black SUVs with tinted windows. Their headlights cut across the fields. Men stepped out dressed in dark suits, their faces hidden in shadow. They moved with precision as if they already knew where to go. Daniel's breath caught. "Government?" he whispered, but Elira shook her head. Her eyes narrowed, glowing brighter. "Not human." Daniel turned back to her. "Not human? What do you mean?" "They wear human face, but not inside." The humming grew stronger. From above, a triangular craft drifted silently through the clouds, its surface black as shadow. Blue lights pulsed along its edges, scanning the ground below. Daniel stepped back from the window, fear crawling up his spine. "They're here." Elira stood, still weak but determined. Her body glowed faintly in the darkness. "We must hide. If they find us, we both die." Daniel grabbed his flashlight and an old rifle from the wall. It wasn't much, but it was all he had. He turned to her, his jaw tight. "All right. Tell me where to go." Elira's glowing eyes met his. "Trust me. Follow." She moved toward the back of the farmhouse, her steps unsteady but purposeful. Daniel followed close behind. Outside, the sound of engines grew louder. Shadows moved across the walls. The hunters had arrived, and the game had just begun. The Bond Daniel led Alira into the cellar beneath the farmhouse. It was a small space, cold and damp, but hidden well under the floorboards. He had used it once for storing tools. Now it was the only safe place he could think of. Alira sank against the stone wall, her glow dim but steady. Daniel set down his rifle and crouched beside her. Above them, faint footsteps echoed. The hunters were moving across his land, their shadows passing over the windows. Daniel's heart raced, but he forced himself to stay calm. He looked at Alira. She was fragile yet strong, a puzzle he couldn't understand. "You'll have to tell me everything," he whispered. Her glowing eyes met his. For a moment she said nothing, only breathing slowly. Then in her broken but careful English she began, "My world, far, not like this. We live long. We fight long. Too long." Daniel leaned closer, listening. "My people, divided. Some want rule control, others want peace. I belong to peace." She placed a hand over her chest. "But I carry secret. A way to end war. If they get me." Secret lost. War never end. Daniel swallowed. The weight of her words was heavy. She wasn't just a stranger. She was carrying something that could change her entire world. "Why come here?" he asked, her voice softened. "Ship broken. No safe place. I ran. I thought Earth. Quiet, but they follow. They always follow." Daniel sat back, running a hand across his face. His whole life had been simple until now. Work, eat, sleep, repeat. But this was bigger than anything he had ever imagined. "You could have died on that road," he said quietly. Alira's eyes softened. "But you stopped. You saved me. Why?" Daniel hesitated. He remembered the driver who had hit her and driven away. That man had chosen fear. Daniel had chosen differently. "My father once told me, helping others is the only thing that makes life worth living. Maybe that's why." Alira tilted her head, studying him. "Humans, not all same. Many, look away. You, different." Her words touched him more than he expected. For a moment in the cold cellar, surrounded by danger, Daniel felt a warmth he hadn't felt in years. He noticed her trembling. Without thinking, he took off his jacket and draped it over her shoulders. She looked surprised but smiled faintly. "You give warmth," she said softly. "Not just jacket, you." Daniel felt his cheeks heat, but he said nothing. Hours passed. The sound of engines outside faded, though Daniel knew the hunters weren't gone. They were searching, circling, waiting for a mistake. In the quiet, Alira showed him more of her abilities. She placed her palm over a cut on his arm, a small wound he hadn't even noticed from climbing into the cellar. A soft light spread from her hand and the cut closed as if it had never existed. Daniel stared, stunned. "That's impossible." Alira shook her head gently. "Not impossible, my people. We learn to heal, to feel. We share life." Daniel flexed his arm. It felt whole, stronger than before. He looked at her differently now. Not just as someone to protect, but as someone who carried something beautiful within her. "Do all of your people have this?" he asked. She hesitated. "Yes, but not all use it. Some use gifts for war. I use for peace." Her words were heavy, but her tone was calm. Daniel realized she wasn't only running to survive. She was running because she believed in something bigger. The bond between them grew in silence. He brought her food, though she only tasted a little. He gave her water, and she seemed grateful for even that. Every small kindness he showed her, she returned with trust. At one point, she reached for his hand again. Her touch was warm, glowing faintly. "When I heal, I see, I feel. I felt your pain." Daniel froze. "My pain?" She nodded. "You lost. Family gone. Heart heavy. You carry it. Every day." Daniel's throat tightened. He hadn't spoken about his parents in years. Yet somehow she knew, as if she had looked directly into his memories. "Yes," he said quietly. "I carry it. But I keep moving." Alira squeezed his hand gently. "That is strength. Not weak." For the first time in a long time, Daniel felt seen, not by another human, but by someone who wasn't even from his world. The night wore on, but instead of fear, the cellar filled with something else. Understanding. A fragile connection formed between them, stronger than the walls around them. When dawn began to creep through the cracks above, Alira looked at him seriously. "They still search. They not stop." "You must choose," Daniel frowned. "Choose what?" Her eyes glowed softly in the dim light. "Stay safe, or stand with me." The words hung heavy in the air. Daniel knew what they meant. Helping her would mean danger, maybe death. Walking away would mean going back to his quiet life. But it would also mean betraying the trust she had given him. He looked at her, at the faint glow of her skin, at the strength in her fragile frame. He had never asked for this, but now he couldn't imagine turning away. Daniel's jaw tightened. I already chose the night I picked you up. I'm with you. Illyra's eyes softened. She leaned her head against his shoulder, her voice a whisper. Then we fight together. Above them, the faint hum of engines returned. The hunters were close again. But now Daniel wasn't just a man protecting a stranger. Now they were something more. The confrontation. The morning sun rose weak and pale, but it brought no peace. The quiet around the farmhouse was sharp, too sharp, like the air was holding its breath. Daniel had not slept. He sat at the kitchen table with his rifle across his lap, listening for any sound. Illyra stood by the window. Her skin glowed faintly in the daylight, soft and silver. Her eyes searched the horizon. They are close, she whispered. Daniel frowned. You can feel them, can't you? She nodded once. Like storm. Before rain. He gripped the rifle tighter. He had faced wild animals before, even dangerous men. But this was different. These weren't just hunters. They weren't just human. Suddenly the sound came. A deep hum that shook the ground. The glasses on the table rattled. Daniel jumped to his feet and ran to the door. Over the fields, a black triangular craft drifted low, its edges glowing with blue light. It was silent at first, then a sharp whine pierced the air. On the dirt road, black SUVs returned. They moved fast, surrounding the farmhouse from three sides. Men stepped out, dark suits, dark glasses. They looked human, but their movements were too smooth, too sharp, like machines hiding inside skin. Daniel's pulse hammered. He looked at Illyra. She was calm, her glowing eyes fixed on the approaching threat. They know I am here, she said. No more hiding. Daniel shook his head. We'll fight. She looked at him, studying his face. You're only human. Daniel loaded the rifle with shaking hands. Then it'll have to be enough. The first SUV stopped at the gate. 3 men stepped out. They walked in perfect unison, their heads turning toward the house at the same moment. Daniel aimed the rifle through the window. He hesitated only for a second, then pulled the trigger. The shot cracked across the fields. One of the men fell, but instead of blood, sparks burst from his chest. His skin tore, revealing metal underneath. Daniel's eyes widened. Robots? Illyra shook her head. Not robots, hybrids, part machine, part flesh. Made to hunt. The fallen hybrid twitched, then stood back up. The wound closed, the metal shifting beneath the skin. Daniel cursed under his breath. That's not fair. The farmhouse walls shook as the triangular craft fired a beam of blue light across the yard. The ground hissed, grass burning to ash. Daniel grabbed Illyra's hand. We need to move. They ran to the back door, just as the front wall exploded inward. Hybrids poured inside, their faces expressionless, their steps heavy. Daniel fired again, this time hitting one in the head. Sparks flew and the creature collapsed for good. But more came. Illyra lifted her hand. Her skin glowed bright, and a wave of light burst outward, knocking 2 hybrids back against the wall. Their bodies cracked, metal exposed beneath their false skin. Daniel stared. Remind me to never make you angry. Illyra's glow dimmed. She staggered. Too weak. Can't hold long. Daniel caught her before she fell. Then I'll hold them off. He fired again, the recoil slamming against his shoulder. One hybrid fell, another kept moving. They were relentless. The triangular craft outside hummed louder. A bright beam shot through the roof, burning a hole in the ceiling. Daniel dragged Illyra down to the cellar just as the house shook. Dust rained down. The walls groaned. The farmhouse would not stand much longer. In the cellar, Illyra pressed her glowing hand to the dirt wall. A strange pattern spread across the soil, glowing lines forming a circle. Daniel blinked. What are you doing? Opening way, she whispered. The circle pulsed, then the earth shifted. A hidden tunnel appeared, narrow but leading into darkness. Daniel's jaw dropped. That was under my house this whole time? Illyra shook her head. Not yours, mine, I make, and Daniel didn't argue. He grabbed his rifle, lifted her into his arms, and stepped into the tunnel. The ground above shook again as the farmhouse collapsed. They moved quickly, Daniel's boots crunching against the dirt. Behind them, the sound of the hybrids echoed, They were following. The tunnel opened into a wide cavern lit faintly by Elira's glow. Daniel set her down, his chest heaving. "They won't stop," he said. Elira nodded weakly. "But here, we fight." The hybrids spilled into the cavern, their glowing eyes sharp. Daniel lifted his rifle. Elira raised her hand, her glow returning, brighter this time. Light clashed with metal. Bullets cracked against sparks. Daniel fought with all his strength, firing, reloading, firing again. Beside him, Elira unleashed waves of light, throwing hybrids into the cavern walls. One hybrid rushed Daniel, its metal claws reaching for his throat. He swung the rifle like a club, knocking it back. Another came. He fired point blank, sparks blinding him. Elira screamed, her glow bursting like fire. The cavern shook as a shockwave of light rippled outward, destroying the last of the hybrids. Their bodies collapsed in broken sparks, metal twisted and burning. Silence. Daniel fell to his knees, gasping for air. His ears rang. His body ached. He looked at Elira. She was on the ground, her glow fading fast. "You saved us," he said softly. She looked at him, her eyes weak but steady. "No, we saved us." Daniel's chest tightened. For the first time, he understood. He wasn't just protecting her. He was part of this fight now. Above them, the triangular craft still hummed. The battle wasn't over, but Daniel knew one thing. He would not abandon her. Not now. Not ever. The cavern was silent after the battle. Broken pieces of hybrids lay scattered across the ground, their metal frames smoking and sparking. The air was heavy with dust and the faint glow of Elira's power still fading from the walls. Daniel leaned against a rock, his rifle hanging loosely in his hands. His arm shook, his body sore, but he was alive. More than that, they were alive. Elira sat near him, her skin pale, her glow dim. Her breathing was slow, heavy, like every breath cost her strength. Yet her eyes, those glowing silver eyes, were steady. "You fought well," she said softly. Daniel gave a tired laugh. "You too. You saved me about 10 times. Her lips curved into the faintest smile. "We saved each other." For a moment they sat in silence. Daniel looked at her and he saw not an alien, not some strange being from the stars, but a person who had trusted him when she had no reason to. Someone who had shared her strength, her pain, her fight. But the silence didn't last. Above the cavern, the hum of the triangular craft returned, louder this time. The walls shook, dust falling from the ceiling. Daniel's head shot up. "They're not done," he said. Elira nodded. "No, they never stop. Unless," Daniel frowned. "Unless what?" She looked at him with serious eyes. "Unless I leave. They want me, not you. If I go, you safe." Daniel's stomach twisted. "You think I'd let you just hand yourself over? After everything we've done? After everything you've shown me?" Her voice was calm, but her words were heavy. "If I stay, they destroy this world. They find you. They kill you. Others humans, not fair." Daniel stood, anger rising in his chest. "So your plan is to sacrifice yourself?" "That's not an option." Elira stood too, though her legs trembled. She placed a glowing hand on his chest, her touch warm. "You gave me kindness. No one else would. You gave me reason to believe, but your world is not mine. I cannot take you into this war." Daniel's jaw tightened. "You don't get to decide for me." She blinked, surprised by his tone. Daniel stepped closer. "You said once that I already chose. And I did. I chose you. I'm not letting you face this alone. Not here, not anywhere." Her eyes softened, glowing faintly brighter. For the first time, her calm expression cracked, showing something else. Fear. Not fear of the hunters, but fear of losing the one person who had stood beside her. "You don't understand," she whispered. "If you come with me, there is no return, no home, no earth, only stars and war and danger without end." Daniel's voice was steady. "Then at least I'll be there with you." The cavern shook again. Rocks cracked overhead. The hunters were close. Time was running out. Elira looked at him for a long moment, searching his face. Then she turned toward the far wall. She pressed her glowing palm against the stone, and once more light spread outward. A circle formed, but this time it didn't open to a tunnel. It opened to the sky. The rock peeled away, revealing a hidden chamber. At its center, resting like a sleeping giant, was a craft. Sleek, silver, glowing faintly with the same light as her skin. Daniel's eyes widened. "That's yours?" She nodded. "My ship. Damaged, but I can make it fly once more." Daniel stared at the craft. It was beautiful but terrifying too. Beyond it lay a choice. His life here or a life among stars he could never imagine. Elira stepped toward the ship. She looked back at him, her eyes filled with something he had never seen before. Not just hope, not just trust. Something deeper. Come with me, she said softly. Daniel froze. The words hit harder than any battle. Leave this world, he asked. She nodded. You have no family here, no one. You already carry loss, but you carry strength too. With me, you can be more than human. Together, we can end the war. Together, we can save worlds. Daniel looked around the cavern. His rifle, his farmhouse above, now nothing but ash. His quiet life already gone. Then he looked at her. Her glowing skin, her eyes steady and full of fire. The bond they had built in one night of chaos. He stepped forward slowly, each word steady. If I stay, I'll always wonder. If I go, I'll know I did something that mattered. I'll know I stood by you. Elira's eyes softened. She reached out her hand. Then choose. Daniel took a deep breath. He looked once more at the cavern, the broken pieces of hybrids, the ruins of his life. Then he reached out and took her hand. Her glow spread into him brighter than ever, wrapping them both in silver light. The ship hummed, its engines waking. The walls shook as the hunters broke through above, their shadows falling into the cavern. But they were too late. The silver craft rose, blasting upward through the rock, leaving the hunters behind. Daniel held on tight as the farmhouse and fields fell away beneath them. The earth grew smaller with every second. The stars grew larger, endless, waiting. He looked at Elira. She looked back at him. One human's kindness had changed everything. The War of the Stars had a new beginning.